Good evening. I'm Zergana. Welcome to the studio this evening. It's warm in here. It's warm in here and I'm falling asleep. Whether the two are related, I'm not quite sure. Possibly, possibly not. But I am really tired. So, let's do some of this and we will see how things go. Drinking tea to try and stay awake. Okay, right, well, let's just get on with it. Hopefully I'll wake up. Part of the reason why I'm late starting the stream is because I've sat in the chair and I just kept falling asleep. I literally could not stay awake. It was kind of odd because it's a sort of falling asleep where in this particular case you find yourself waking up. You don't know that you've fallen asleep as such. Right, I'm nearly running out of wool here, so let's just pull some more out. And I'm starting to wake up a bit as well, which is good. It's a real, I often wonder, it's like just before this stream, as I said, I couldn't actually stay awake. I just kept waking up. As far as I was concerned, I wasn't falling asleep, I just kept waking up, which is an extremely weird thing. But the bit that always intrigues me is, why can you not usually do that when you go to bed? There's quite often times during the day when you can just sit down and you fall asleep like that for no apparent reason. But when you go to bed on a night, you very rarely just fall asleep like that. And it would be really nice if you could do it. But even if you like doing it like I was just now, if I went upstairs to lay down on the bed, I wouldn't fall asleep. For what? I'd just be awake. It never sort of transfers. Never mind. That's that completely. Okay. Well, just some notice on Wednesday. I don't know if there'll be a stream on Wednesday or not. I'm working in a actual office. Well, no, let's refer that. I'm working in an office building on Wednesday for most of the day. I don't know what time I'll be finishing. So unfortunately, I don't know whether there will be a stream or not on Wednesday because of that. If I'm back in time, there is going to be. If I'm not back in time, then I'm not back in time. If you get the meaning. But I will do my best. And we'll see how it goes. I will of course try and tweet out and let you know what the situation is. The intent is to be home in time, but sometimes these things never go as smoothly as you might wish. Okay, so this is what this craft really gets called. I might actually have to look up, see if I can find a generic name for it, because it probably has one. The manufacturer that makes the needle that I'm using here call it Punchcraft. So, because you're punching a needle through material, I guess. The material is canvas, sort of stuff they make canvases out of, for painting, and canvas bags, backing on things like carpets, which is kind of appropriate because that's kind of what I'm doing here. The rug, of course, is just a small carpet. Sort of. I say sort of because rugs sometimes are made using different techniques to carpets. I am actually using a technique which is used only when they do it sort of professionally, shall we say. They probably use hundreds of needles and not just one. But the same sort of thing takes place where they jam the needles through the backing material. So it's a relatively easy task. Craft, pastime, whatever you want to describe this as. There is a level of skill to it, which is keeping the what would you call it, stitches per inch. If you were knitting, you'd call it tension. Here it's not tension. That's precisely the thing you don't want. But it's kind of using the same amount of wool per inch. So the same number of stitches or the same number of punches, loops, whatever you like to call them. That's where the sort of skill comes in, keeping it at a reasonably packed level, not going too overboard, too close to each other, because that would make the rug on the other side sort of feel really hard and stiff. Not going so far apart though that you actually get to see the canvas through the loops on the other side, or they're so far apart they collapse really easily because they've got no support from the ones around them, and when that happens it just basically doesn't look very nice. But apart from that, the only other concern really is the fact that you're using a relatively sharp needle. It's not a hypodermic, it might look like one, but it's not that sharp. That's uncomfortable, but it's not piercing my skin. Now there are also, this needle is sized to work with wool, normal sort of knitting wool. You've got a fair variation in sizes that you can use. To get technical about it, I think I'm using double knitting wool here. You can get needles which are smaller in diameter that work with cottons. And things like embroidery floss. And generally speaking though, you wouldn't be doing something as large as this with them. You could. It would take an awfully long time, but you could get a really nice picture, I guess, out of it. If you did something this size, if you were using cottons. But it would probably take easily take hundreds of hours. This rug is 27 inches wide by 34 inches long, and this has already taken something like about 40 hours to get this far. And we're probably in the order of 50 to 60 hours to actually finish this, and then I'll finish the punching, and then there's the actual work to finish the rug itself, which is to hem the edges and then turn it over, turn over the edges and fasten them to create an edge on the rug itself. Which is basically a lot of conventional sewing. I may get a sewing machine out to do some of it. I can hem the outer edges with the sewing machine. What I can't do is sew it, sew the fold back. Fold back, it'll be creased along this edge here, and that'll piece will fold over the back over here. What I've then got to do is sew that down onto the back of here. I guess I could glue it, or use something actually like binding, embroidered, I was going to say sewing binding tape, which can be done with a hot iron. That actually might be something I'll do, because sewing the fold back is a bit of a pain in the neck. It's bad enough on cross-stitch rugs. You end up using a curved needle if you've got one. Makes the job a lot easier. But having just suddenly thought there, sort of binding material may actually work quite nicely, so I might actually do that. Because I don't like sewing these sorts of things. But that then will create a nice sort of edge. The rug will go right up to the edge of the rug, or the wool will go right up to the edge of the wool. Right. Excuse me, it is rather warm here in the studio. It's currently, I think, 24.5 degrees. And that's hit 25. And some of that's probably caused by the computer, although it's really surprising. I've had the outside door open, the outside window, all afternoon. Temperature here then dropped down to about 22 degrees, and since I closed the door it's heated back up. I'd love to know what's heating this studio. Unless it's just the hot water circulation, which it could be. We have underfloor heating, but that's turned off. But what there is the bathroom here at the back of the house, because of the length of run, there's piping, there's sort of plumbing things, conditions, rules, whatever, that have to be satisfied, and hot water supplies over a certain length have to have a system of pumps where the water is pumped around the pipe and back to the heating tank, and it does that apparently to stop things growing in the pipes, because otherwise sort of warm pipes are ideal for stuff to grow in, which you don't want. So they have to circulate it. So we have a pump, and that pumps water around a loop. It goes to the bathroom and back again, but that goes through the heat through the floor, and so that sort of in itself is a heating element for the floor, just like the underfloor heating is. So some of it is coming from that, I'm sure. And I have just recalled that across our windows here we have vents. I really ought to open it. In fact, I really ought to open it enough to just do it. So I'm going to do it now. It's not much, but it's if there's any sort of breeze out there, it'll blow in, which will create, hopefully, a cooling draft. But it's kind of mad when you've had the I say a window, it's a what do you call them, bifold window. So it's a floor to ceiling window that's about 6 foot wide, just been open all day, and it still gets hot in here. UK isn't that hot. Outside temperature, I think it's been reported as 12 degrees today, but it's probably been closer to sort of 20 around here. Okay, so today, so I'm just, I just almost started laughing at myself because we had I was going to tell you about a delivery, but then I just remembered I got some Amazon deliveries today. They themselves are just amusing. Because I ordered some stuff from Amazon, and all being delivered from Amazon itself, not from a third party. And I got an email yesterday saying that to speed up the deliveries to me for my convenience, they were going to dispatch the order in more than one part at no extra cost to me, so that I'd be able to enjoy some of the products more quickly. And I looked at the email, and I'm a cynical sort of person, and I go, no you didn't. You sent that because you're sending them from different warehouses, and one's going to take longer than the other to arrive. And I'm kind of cynical like that. But what I was going to say is today I had another order delivered. I thought it was going to be the other part of the Amazon order which I'd made, and for light bulbs actually, some nice LED light bulbs. Turned out not to be that, so they thought because it come via Royal Mail, but there again so had the Amazon parcel, so I was thinking it was that. If you don't, that's revolution. I ordered this. What's Amazon sending me? And yes, it's in the same sort of frustration-free packaging as they put it. There's a rips top, and then I'm looking at it, and I'm still not really seeing it. So I lift these things out, which I couldn't quite work out what they were at first. Lighting bars, but. And then I suddenly see the picture of Pendolino underneath, and today, without any warning whatsoever, I've had an Engage railway set delivered. I say without any warning. I'd ordered it, but it was originally a Kickstarter which failed, but then they still did a crowdfunding thing, which I was part of. And it's been a while, quite a long while, for it to be delivered. They've been keeping everybody up to date with what's going on and things, but it's been a long time. and as far as I know there was no indication that they were about to start sending these things out, and until I opened the package and suddenly had in front of me an Engage railway locomotive. My first ever Engage railway locomotive. I don't have any track. So it's not off a controller, I can't run the thing, so it will sort of sit. If I get it out, it'll sit on display somewhere until I get to the point of building a layout, which was the point in buying it in the first place. I will at some point be building a layout. I used to, as a child, have a Hornby 00 gauge 3-rail system. They're quite rare. They're actually worth quite a bit of money these days. And I do have an engine for that. Only the engine, the tender's gone missing, which is a great pity, because again, with the tender it would be worth quite a lot of money. Without the tender, it's hardly worth anything at all. It's a lovely engine though, all made out of metal. But for sort of years I've always wanted to build a model railway. I have no particular interest in running trains, but I just want to build the thing. I'll probably in the end have a computer run the trains. Actually, I've always wanted to build a Z-scale, but the problem with Z-scale is controlling it. You can't get the controllers that you use on the larger scales into the Z-scale, so you're stuck with doing things like only being able to run one engine on a section of track, and then things get really complicated really quickly if you try and work around that limitation. Actually, I've just realised one of the things I can do now is I can make a T-scale layout. If you're not into model railways, you've no idea what I'm talking about with N-scale and Z-scale and T-scale, or even 00 for that matter. But they are sort of standard scale sizes. I can never really remember what they are. Well, certainly the higher ones anyway, but you get the N scale, for example. It's called N scale because the scale is N for 9mm per foot. Quite why they mix up metric and imperial, I'm not sure, but that's what it is. Am I right? No, it's not 9mm per foot. The track gauge is 9mm. So the gauge of a track is the distance between the two rails, and on most European and UK railways the distance between the two rails is 4.5 feet. And so on a model railway which uses N gauge, and there's a difference between N gauge and N scale, which uses N gauge, the distance between the two rails is 9mm. That means that the scale of it is 2mm per foot. Yeah, that's right, 2mm per foot. That's better. And Z scale is half that. So the gauge, or a Z gauge, is 4.5mm between the rails, so 1mm per foot. And T gauge is 3mm between the rails. and you can do the maths yourself. What's 4.5 divided by 3? Sorry, 3 divided by 4.5. My brain doesn't work. But then you'd have, I suppose that's a third of n scale, isn't it? So if n scale is 2, so it'd be 2/3 of a millimetre per foot. Here's a quick way of working it out. Now there is a slight difference. I kept using gauge there rather than switching from scale to gauge, and that's something that if you have a lot of people who have an interest in model railways get confused by, because n gauge is, whilst n gauge is n scale isn't necessarily n gauge. Oh dear. So why are they different, you might ask? You might not if you've no interest, but if you've any sort of interest you might ask why they're different, because a lot of people don't realise it. Well, you may or may not have heard of things called narrow gauge railways. There's a few of them around the world, and what they effectively are is a railway engine that is on a track where the gauge of the track is narrower than it would normally be. So if I just make something up, let's say you had a normal railway engine that runs on 4.5 foot gauge track. If you put it on, say, 3 foot gauge track, that would be narrow gauge. So you'd have a normal scale railway engine on a narrow gauge track. And you can do the same thing in models. If you put a 00 sized railway engine, and I'm making this up because I can't remember if it's exactly right, but if you put a 00 gauge railway engine, or an engine that's sized for 00 gauge at 00 scale on a n gauge railway, it would be a narrow gauge 00 scale engine, if you see what I mean. So just because you've got an n gauge track doesn't mean you've got an n scale railway. You could have 00 scale railway on an n gauge track, just to thoroughly confuse things. And if you followed that, well done. So if I, for example, put an N gauge engine on a Z gauge, I put a double, and if I put an N, you see I get confused, N scale engine on a Z gauge track, then I'd be running narrow gauge. Of course, potentially it's the other way, there is available the other way as well, wide gauge, which is the opposite. I don't think there's too many of those around in the world though. Sometimes what some modelers will do as well is, if they're a 00 scale railway running on 00 gauge track, and there's a slight gotcha in there as well. They occasionally will do something like put a Z or an N gauge layout into their layout. You know, use N gauge track and Z gauge track, with appropriately N scale and Z scale engines, because you might get somewhere in like a theme park or something like that, a real life steam engine, a little one that you can ride on. They put them into their larger scale things using the smaller gauge railway systems. I intend to do something similar myself, because I know what I want to build. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know what theme it is I want to build mine of, and that is going to include a T scale system. But that's not going to be any time soon, although I will probably create a video tonight of me unboxing this and taking a look at it. So if you have any interest at all, feel free to watch out for it on YouTube. But my first thing is going to be the glass work. I'm going to see whether I like it working with flame work, and if I do, a glass studio. That will be first before the model railway. On the other hand, if I decide I don't like flame work, then I'll probably build a model railway sooner. When I get back to this trial, I'm going to turn this over and take a look and see if the spacing is okay on the other side. It's looking a little bit wide here, but it might be okay. Alright, take a look at what that looks like. The orange is going to want some more in it. That's a bit weak. It's not bad, but I think we'll pack them a little bit tighter than that. Yeah, it's going to need the odd extra loop in, I think. Close, but not quite close enough. So, yeah. Yes, as I say, so if you've got any interest in model railways, keep an eye out on the channel. So Zarrigan Art, on YouTube, youtube.com/arrogantart. I hope I'll record that tonight, and then it'll be up within a few days. I need to maybe get some more. No, let's do a row and then we'll see. Now I'm going to try and keep these rows balanced, so I need to do this one, start this one in a particular place, which is there, I think. Then when I come back across this row, I will put these closer together. Yeah, it's a little bit far apart. What we'll do is we'll put these loops a little bit closer together. What that will do is cause them to sort of spread out a little bit sideways. Which will sort of fill in the larger gap a little bit better. Okay, just checking the tension on this wool. I do not want it to get too tight, as that will cause the loops to be either too short or to pull out altogether. Okay, so don't know whether I'll have enough wool left on this ball or whether I need to start another one. So far for this multicoloured background I've gone through 2 balls of wool. This is my third. A ball being somewhat larger than normal. These are what? 100 gram balls. So I'm probably likely to have gone through 3 by the time I finish. 300 grams of wool. Of course, it really depends on how many loops per inch you put in. The more loops, the more wool. So you can't go too sparse, otherwise you get to see the canvas from the other side. Doesn't look very good. The loops sort of collapse if you do ever walk on them. They don't particularly stand up well. Also, you can't go too tight or too many, because you just physically can't push the needle through. It sort of damages the loops on the other side, and just also generally doesn't look very nice. Plus, actually, I have no idea how the canvas would react. If you try, for example, to put a loop in every single little tiny hole, the canvas would probably stretch considerably and be distorted and things. I say hole, I don't know if you've ever seen canvas, it's a fairly loose woven material. I was about to say canvas sacks, but people don't see sacks like that much these days. but it's a material woven like any other, vertical threads, horizontal threads. But they are sufficiently far apart that there is a gap between them, and once it's woven you can see sort of little tiny holes. And effectively that's what I'm doing with this needle, is pushing its way through those holes, causes the wool to stay in. When I pull the needle back out, the wool stays in. I think I've drifted slightly there. Try my best to stay on one row here, because it helps to keep the coloured lines straight. I didn't do so well earlier on, and they are somewhat curved earlier up in the rug, partly because I wasn't taking that sort of care, kind of didn't realise, but also the canvas does sort of stretch a little bit, and but then gradually sort of relaxes back a bit, and so it's fairly easy when you are putting some tension on it, as I am doing here. With my left hand I'm sort of pulling on the canvas a little bit, and it becomes fairly easy to sort of distort the canvas if you're not careful. And so you end up doing what looks like a straight line but is actually curved, and when the canvas sort of relaxes back a little bit, what was a straight line no longer is. So I missed that. Oh, hello Wolfie, good evening, thank you for the host. Hello there. Oh, excuse me, I'm a little warm. I trust you are well this evening. Right, I'm putting this row fairly close to the other one, so I am just using a normal spacing, or what is normal for my style of work. She's about a needle width. And I need to unravel some more wool. I may end up starting a fourth ball of wool, I think, before this project is finished. This one doesn't look like it's going to get to the end. It might do. I've been surprised before with these things, but that's good, glad to hear it. Heard anything back about your design yet? Ah well. Kind of know that. You beat your friend in a league competition. Well done. Congratulations. Well, there is time for that to change, so be careful. Does that mean it can end 1-1, or is there like a third round then? Yeah, that's a bit close. Okay. I should be able to take a look at that. Central European time. I shall have to ask Google for the translation on that one, but I shall take a look. £7 UK. Okay, thanks. That saved me looking. I thought it was an hour out, but I couldn't remember which way. So am I going to be dropping in to see you lose or to see you win? Of course, yes, of course. Only teasing. Yeah. You have problems convincing him then that you'd actually won. Okay. Oh, I see, yeah. Two, 1. Let me see. So you're playing Team Waterboy on next Sunday. And Infinity Ledge the Sunday after. Okay. Okay, so you're second at the moment. Second overall in the leaderboard. No, first? Why is that? Because looking at it, you've played 3 matches and Team Waterboy have played 2, and you've both got 2 wins. Oh, I see. No, I don't. Match wins. Oh, is it like 3 games to a match? sort of like in tennis, you have to win two games out of three to that's men's tennis to win the match. Yeah. Okay. So there we go. That's a bit better. Yeah. So I will have a few more orange to fill in just around there because that's a little bit sparse just in that area. But otherwise that one's not so bad. It's just there. Just seems to be a little bit loose. But I am too hot. It's really warm here in the studio. So I'm going to go. Nearly time to finish anyway. I know I started a little bit late, but I can't be late twice in one stream. So we'll finish a little bit early. I'm going to go cool off, and then I've got another recording to do before I pack up for the night. So I'm going to say thank you to anybody that's watching. Now on Wednesday there may or may not be a stream. And I know Wolfie, you don't care either way because you're practicing, but for anybody else that's watching, I will be working away from my normal office, which is here. On Wednesday I'll be working in an actual office, in a big office building with lots of people around, and I'm not quite sure when I'm likely to finish that day. I have got a set amount of work to do and I have to be there until it's finished. Can't do it from here. So when that, and it's several hours, anything from 3 to 10, and so depending on when I finish, if I finish in time to get back to have an evening meal, there'll be a stream. If not, unfortunately, then I won't be able to stream. Keep an eye out on Twitter. I will do my best to tweet whether I intend to stream or not, give you as much advance notice as I know, and then you can come looking, or you cannot bother if I've tweeted out that I'm not going to be able to stream. If I do stream, it will be from 7 PM UK time. It's 1800 hours GMT. Otherwise the next stream will be on the Friday, same time, approximately 7 PM UK time. So with that, thank you for watching. Hope I'll see you on the next stream. Bye for now.